watching Mondays, Not Just Crew. Well, welcome to Monday's Not Just Crew. Now, we're going to be revisiting somebody who first joined us when Not Just Crew first started at the height of lockdown, and we were seeing what other crew were doing when they weren't being crew. So we're going to be speaking to Jools Tyrer, who's now a podcaster soon. In the meantime, I'm going to be bringing back a Not Just Crew favourite in author and podcaster Kaylie K, who's a regular contributor. Kaylie, welcome back. Lovely to see you again.
Always, Trevor. Thanks for having me again.
No, it's always good to see you on Not Just Crew, especially as I know how busy you are writing your own podcast. I mean, I think you're pushing out pretty much a story a week at the moment.
Every single week, yeah.
Yeah. How are you finding that? Are you just battling on?
It's a commitment, but bless her, Ali has taken a little bit of a weight off me by doing an interview. So we were always a storytelling podcast, but the interviews are really nice as well. So she does one of those a month, which just takes a week off me. So
yeah, of
we
course.
work it out.
Yeah, well-deserved break. And I'd say, I assume you're still looking for any crew stories?
Always. Any stories, send them my way, please, because I've only ever got like 6 or 7 ahead, and then I'm like, start panicking that where I'm going to get the next ones, and have to go and get another.
And remind us all where they can contact you, or Ali, I suppose.
Through the redeyepod.com, or find the Red Eye. Just put the Red Eye podcast in, and you'll find all our socials. And yeah,
I think you've got a dedicated contact page on that
on
website.
The website. Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to another podcaster who's literally pretty much hit the ground running. So I'm going to bring in Jools Tyrer. Jools,
hello.
Lovely to see you again. It's been a long time since we saw you. So it was literally, I think you were one of the first interviews we had during those dark days of lockdown, and weren't they strange days? Do you know, when I look back, it's like a blur, but the whole world had literally changed, and it's so I don't think we've seen you since. So listen, tell us about what you've been, not what you're up to right now, because we're going to go on to that in a moment, but what you've been up to those last couple of years.
Well, it's been coming up for 5 years. It would have been 5 years, because when I last spoke to you, I was pregnant, and so since I've had a baby. So yeah, it was just nuts, wasn't it? It was a really, really crazy time, and I was just in this whole cocoon, like this crazy little world, with also trying to figure out how to be a mum. So yes, in terms of kind of what I've been up to, is I had my little baby, took just over a year off, and then went through this wild journey of returning to work as a mum, which was just, nobody had prepared me for that. Nobody. And you talked there, Trevor, about how it was a crazy time and the world really changed. But holy moly guacamole, going back into the workplace after everyone was using Zoom, and I worked in defense, as you may remember.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. Everyone met face to face. It was very, we weren't very technical. But people were meeting in Zoom, and I was kind of expecting okay, I don't want to go back. It's going to be horrendous. I really don't want to leave my baby, but maybe, I'll get some human connection, and, I'll have some chat. But it was just it was wild. I just felt like I didn't fit in. I didn't really want to be there. That was a whole new team. It was because I hadn't gone through that change. I was away out of it and then came back to it. It was just bonkers.
Yeah. Was it, I mean, because to say you're working in a completely different industry then, other than the airlines, do you think, had you had your first sort of child within the airlines, there would have been a different kind of empathy? And do you think it would have been a completely different experience?
And that's a really interesting question, because one of the reasons that I left was because I had thought, I'm going to want to have a baby, and I don't think I want to fly whilst bringing up a child. And it's so funny, isn't it, how you just have these like stories and perceptions in your mind, but unless you talk to people and you understand actually what is in the realms of possibility, you're just kind of making assumptions in your head. So I know we're going to get on to the podcast, but I have been interviewing people about return to work, and I spoke to an amazing guy who has returned since adopting, and he's just doing amazing. Like, it works so well for him, and the experience that he's had from the airline and how they've looked after him has been amazing. So I think it depends on the industry, your team. I think it depends on many factors, but I think it all depends on you and your mindset that you have around it.
Yeah. Well, okay, Kaylie, I'll bring you at this point. Obviously, you've done it twice.
Yeah.
And what was your experience?
Loved it. Loved going back flying. Yeah, thankfully I didn't have much of the guilt, because I'm lucky I had a really good network to have the kids. I had the mother-in-law who, Indian lady, just absolutely adored those children. And I had my sisters, so they were having a great time when I was away. So for me, I think it made me a better parent, because I would go away, have a little break, then feel bad that I left them, come back and be a great mum. So it worked for me.
Yeah. Do you think, again, but being in an airline environment helped that process, i.e. like the company you're working for being very understanding, and your friends and relatives being understanding as well?
Yeah, so it's not going to work for everyone. Not everyone's got that support network, have they? And not everyone can just go away and leave their kids for a couple of days. For me, it worked, but I know, the airline were great back then. I don't know how it works now. I don't think everyone immediately gets part-time like they used to. But as a part-time job back then, it was a great job. And when you're home, then you're home for 24 hours a day. You're not having to go to work and pick up from the childminders and things. So my experience was positive.
Yeah, you're so right, Kaylie. It really depends on what you've got around you and how you can make it work.
Yeah. It's but say, I mean, Jools, even though you left the industry quite a while ago, it seems like flying is still very much in your heart, as it is for many of us. Actually, a sort of you're thinking about leaving flying, and you think, well, and also I noticed this particularly during lockdown. I think you did, Kaylie, as well. It's I don't think you were really looking forward to getting back to flying. So okay. Well, look, so Jools, you've launched a new podcast, and as I said in the intro, you've literally hit the ground running. First question I've got to ask you: what made you even think about starting a podcast, and why did you choose your subject matter?
So I'm going to go back to something you said, Trevor, actually, about how when you've flown, like, you just always have that in you. I think it becomes such a strong part of your identity. And I only flew like 6 years, but it becomes so much part of your identity, and it's hard to really take that away. And I think I really, really struggled. So when I left flying, I went to teach. So I taught in a college in London. It was travel and tourism with airline specialism. And that was amazing. Like, the classroom was like the inside of mock-up of a cabin, and it was great. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was probably the worst job I've ever done. Like, I hated it. I hated it so much. And obviously everyone's different. And I know some people have done it and loved it, but I freaking hated it. So I was going to go back, and then they changed all the contracts. That's probably another podcast episode. But I've always had that in me. I think I've always been like, should I go back? Do I go back? And then I got into the learning and development in the corporate, and the company I work for has like the Empire Test Pilot School. So still like that little flying link, and it's still kind of there. but there was always that kind of underlying, like it's still in there. I think that the lifestyle, isn't it? It's that lifestyle. It's just like you cannot compare that to anything else. I think that's why I hated the teaching so much, because it was just really hard work.
Yeah.
No babies at the end of it. Like, oh, this isn't balancing for me. So I kind of always have, I guess, been finding something that would fill my cup as much as flying. And although I loved like the learning and development, and when I had my baby, I phoned up the doctor in absolute tears, and I was like, I fucking hate my job, and like I hated everything about it. I think because I had changed. I changed as a person, and it was the environment, it was the people, it was the team, it was, the whole change. Like I had become this whole different person, and I had this whole realization of, actually, if I've got to leave my baby and I've got to work, I want to do something that I really bloody love. And I'm not sure I love this. Like, I think it probably all came to a bit of a head. And so I went on this whole little bit of a journey. And before joining Virgin, I was a career coach. And so I always had that in my back pocket, I guess. But again, that's not something I particularly really loved. And then what I actually came to this realization was that I wanted to do coaching, but it wasn't just for career. It was the whole human approach and looking at the whole human. And I've always been fascinated by psychology. And the dream was always to do crew training. That was always what I was quite passionate about doing, because I think I love helping people develop and get better, and that whole psychology of people. I love it. So I was really fortunate that I was then able to maneuver in the same company, but into a role where they paid for me to upskill as a coach. I did it with a very elite company, and they're the only coaches that are recommended in the Psychologist magazine, in the coaching directory. So I was really, really fortunate to get amazing training, and I've been doing that now for a couple of years. I love it, but there's still this little itch, because I've just seen and heard, and I coach many people in the business who have come back from work, from maternity leave, and just struggle. Like, it is so hard. So I've got frustrated with how I felt being a part-time mum. And interestingly, when I was in the airline industry, I don't know if I should say this. I'm going to say it. You can always edit it out.
Go for it.
We used to call part-timers, this is horrendous. We used to call part-timers part-time, no time, waste of time. Oh my God. Isn't that awful? It's awful. So in my head, me going back, I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to be thinking I'm a part-time, no time, waste of time. That's just the narrative I had in my head. And that probably, hasn't served me very well. But I just got really frustrated and felt quite limited in what I was capable and what businesses were doing for women returning. And so I just thought, right, I was really lucky that my manager really supported me. And I think I'm a completely different person from like 2 years ago. Yeah. And I wanted to kind of give that to other people. And I thought, right, I've now got this voice. I feel really confident. I'm going to do a bloody podcast. And if businesses won't listen, then I'm going to go straight to mums and straight to women. And I'm going to help them. And I'm going to, all these books that I read, these psychology books and the coaching books, I'm going to go and talk to the people that write them. And I'm going to say it as it is. I'm going to find out what's really going on and why is it so bloody hard, because it shouldn't be this hard. And so that's what I've gone and done. And interestingly, going back to what Kaylie was saying earlier, the most popular episodes are people's stories. So it's where I've spoken to, because I talk to specialists, but I also talk to real parents that have done it. So, people that have returned. And what I'm finding really fascinating is that 1 in 3 women want to change their career after maternity. And it's people that have pivoted and gone and done different things. That's fascinating.
How did you know, how can I put it, launching a podcast would be the best way for you to get your message across? Were you listening to podcasts anyway, and was it just a matter of was it like a light bulb moment, thinking Yeah, this is exactly what I want to do, and sort of how to get my message across, and how to listen to other people's stories.
I think like the beauty of a podcast is you can do it around another job, right? So if you're flying or you want to do it, you can do it around a job. So because I didn't want to give up my job, but I wanted to get my voice out there. And yes, I'd been listening to podcasts. Like I love a podcast. And I just thought that's the best way that I'm going to be able to get my voice out. But holy moly, I did not realize how hard it was to set up a podcast. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to like buy a microphone. And then once I started exploring it, I was like, oh, this is really hard work. So it took me months, like I kid you not, probably six months to really start working out like how I was going to do it, learn how to use the equipment, learn and I'm still learning. Like it's not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I've almost let my community see that, because it's just like, well, I'm being brave, I'm doing this, and if you want to be brave and you want to do something, and you can, it is possible. You've just got to give it a go. And
your podcasts, are they audio and visual, or have you stuck just to one format?
No, so they're audio and visual.
Yeah.
And interesting how you talk about like the flying, and it's still in us. It's called Mama's Flightpath.
Yeah.
So it's still got that flying little nod in there. But the flight is about that. You can pivot, you can change, like you can do. I'm just wholeheartedly believe that we have this tug in our gut to do something that's purposeful. And particularly when you have children, like you just have this drive to go and do something purposeful. And many people are having children a lot later, and you go through that kind of 39, 40. People call it midlife crisis. I call it a bit of an awakening. If you're spiritual, it's called Uranus's opposition. But you go through this phase of I want to do something meaningful and purposeful. So if you've got that on top of them being a mum, it's this huge like tug in your gut to go, I want to do something more. I want to do something. Yeah, Kaylie's nodding along.
Yeah, no, I've got to ask Kaylie here. Was that, did that? I mean, your children, I think, from what I understand, so correct me if I'm wrong, but your children were a bit older when you started writing.
Yeah, but I reached that stage. I was like, I can't just be flying, because that's fun and I enjoy it, but it's not something I'm so really proud of. And that's when I started writing. I needed to do something that was more, that's my purpose. So that's why I was nodding frantically then. I remember that feeling of I need to do something else with my life now. Yeah,
it's so true. You just have this, I can only explain it like a tug in your gut. It's like this inner wisdom where you're like, I've got to do something that I really believe in. And I just think, go for it. Like it is possible. And what's hard is when you've got children. I don't know how you find it, Kaylie, but it's really bloody hard to work that out, like what you're going to do, because
sorry, I'm interrupting. I knew I didn't really want to leave flying. I wasn't ready to, but the writing could fit in around that. Yeah. And then I just found that I was flying to get to my hotel room and spending all day in my hotel room writing until happy hour. Then I'd go out, but I'd have this sense of achievement that I'd just written like 3,000 words in my room that morning. And and now I kind of am at a stage, I'm like you, and Ali's the same, that she doesn't fly anymore, but she still has that attachment to it. Me and Trevor talk often that we could leave flying now. I'm actually at a stage in my life I could leave now, because I'm so entwined in it now through not just crew and my writing. But I can't leave because I have to get the stories for our podcast. So
this is true. So you still need to live it. And I think that's the same for me. Like it's really interesting. I was reflecting before I came on today to talk to you guys, but I've got that. I'm settled with it now. Like I'm not craving that, like, oh gosh, what, like, I guess maybe it's like dopamine hit or something, or like just, maybe it's that purpose, but it's like, I'm okay with not doing it now. Like, I feel like this is my thing. And I get like, it recharges my battery. Like you were saying there, Kaylie, with the writing, like, having that creativity space and it must be so nice being able to like go away and write, because it must be quite inspiring being in different places.
I write so much more and so much better when I'm on an 8-hour time difference and no one's awake, and I'm awake at 5 a.m, trying to find time to do it at home they're teenagers now, but I still have the kids at home. I've got all my dogs, and I don't relax the same as I do when I'm in a hotel room. So it kind of like, it works for me to still fly. But yeah, for me it still works. But
yeah. So Jools, I'd love to go on to the excuse to everyone while I've gone really dark. Typical, it's a new studio, but one of the main lights has just gone, so I feel like the hooded claw in darkness here. But yeah, on the technical side, you said it, Jools, it was like a new learning curve for you. And again, I mean, when Not Just Cruise started, it was brand new, and it was only with the advice of Alex Chisnell, who was already podcasting then. It gave me the confidence to even start Not Just Cruise. So how did you work? Did you learn the technical side first? How did you go about? I mean, which platform do you use, just out of interest?
I use Riverside.
Yeah. Riverside's good. I think it used to be called Anchor. I think it's owned by Spotify, if I'm correct. Riverside. Oh yeah, I'm sure it used to be called Anchor. Could be wrong. But no, Riverside's a really nice platform, and I find it quite easy to sort of podcast there. So how long? And this is only for people who possibly want to start a podcast as well. How long did it take you to get to grips with it, and how long was it before you were confident enough to press that publish button? Because it took me ages.
I don't think I have still. Like I'm still work in progress on it. I had somebody reach out to me to come on the podcast the other day, and interestingly, I felt like that was my best podcast so far. Like the sound was really great on it. Like she had a good setup, I had a good setup, the sound was beautiful, the conversation flowed. It was great. It's been my least viewed episode. So I think it's just nuts, isn't it? But I think, it's all a learning process. And I think just not getting stuck in that. So I had to do like 4 weeks worth because I was going away on holiday. And then it was like Easter holidays when I came back, and I've also got a little one. So I had to like batch record 4 before I went away. It was late. I didn't like listen to them before. I just uploaded them. And then my phone broke while I was on holiday, so I couldn't even check them. And it wasn't until I got back and I listened back, they were the sound like quality on them was awful. And I'd pressed this like extra button that was like magic audio. But actually, because I've got quite good equipment, it just really impacted it. And I was slightly devastated, and I was like, oh, that's it. Why am I bothering? Like there's all these humongous, well represented and produced podcasts, and then there's like little old me in my spare room like trying to do this. Like what a joke. And then it was, a couple of days later, I got that lady who's a doctor, and she's written a book, Can Women Really Have It All? So she spent 5 years researching my exact topic. And I was like, she was like, I love what you're doing. And I was like, okay, just have a chat with yourself. You're doing the best you can. If no one ever listens to those episodes again, it doesn't matter. Just put it down to experience and kind of crack on. And that's how I've been just dealing with it all. And it is that inner critic in your head will always tell you not to do things, because it is scary, it is uncomfortable. And yeah, it's taken a long time. But I was just I think the thing that kept me going is I was just so frigging passionate about doing this.
Yeah. How do you go about designing your episodes?
Oh, that's a good question. Do I have a process?
No, I mean, that's what I mean. Do you? I mean, sometimes when we do podcasts, I literally do them off the cuff. I don't have a script. I don't necessarily do a lot of research, because I like to hear it firsthand sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your process?
My process is I embody very much kind of my coaching. So I take in a very curious Jools, a very active listening Jools. So my face on a lot of the videos looks horrendous because I'm so engrossed and I'm so engaged. I've just got like this horrendous resting bitch face, but hey ho. But I just go in like fully actively listening with a very curious beginner's mindset. So I don't go in thinking I know it all. I go in very much, I've got so much to learn from this person, whether it's someone telling me a story or an expert. And no, I don't script them. I'll obviously have a rough idea of what that person is coming at with. So whether it's they've, written a book or it's a personal journey story. So like when I interviewed Gary, I knew that he had adopted a little boy and obviously he still flies. So I know the kind of angle, but I always say to the guests when they're coming on, I dance in the conversation.
Yeah.
So we just have a little dance, and that's how I come at them.
Yeah, and do you sorry, I know Kay's got a million and one questions as well, but do you time limit your podcasts?
Oh gosh, that's another great question. So I was doing
full of them today.
I know, aren't you? Fire.
Do some professional now, you see.
I try and stick to an hour.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, and then I was testing, so I was doing an hour and then I was following them up with a mini session of me giving like a reflection, and they would be like 10 minutes. They actually haven't been that popular, and I felt like actually that's giving a lot of my professionalism away, and that's probably something I need to monetize and charge for, because I shouldn't probably be giving that away. So I'm not going to do those, and I am going to start making them a bit shorter, because obviously my target market, my community that listen are mums going back to work. So they don't have a lot of time. But it's really interesting because I've been talking to obviously some of my core listeners, and some of them are like, well, I just, it plays as soon as I get in the car. So it doesn't really bother. It doesn't really matter how long it is. But then others have said like, I haven't got time to listen to a whole hour. But it's really hard, because if you're actually engaging in a story with somebody, to get deep and to get really in there with them, you do need that bit of time. So it's I'm still on the fence. I know, Kaylie, yours are like bang on like 20 minutes, aren't they?
I think they have to be 23 minutes in order to be this is Ali's side of department, really, in order to get paid advertisements into.
Oh, okay.
So when we first started, they were 20 minutes, and then Ali was like, oh, can we make them 23? And now they're kind of up to about 27 minutes. But
which is, I think, is a sweet spot. You can often squeeze that in, because I normally listen to the red eye on my way to work.
For me, that's just a word count. So it's a bit, our podcasts are so different, aren't they? Ours is storytelling. I know that I've got to do roughly 4,000 words, between 3,500 and 4,000 words. Yeah, so it's quite easy for me to tailor it to that. Yours is very different. Me and Trevor were having a chat just now. 1 minute we're like, oh, be nice and quick. But like you said, you get into a conversation, the next minute, it's an hour, isn't it? So.
I went onto a podcast last week, because I don't talk about me or my journey, my story on the podcast. I'm very much focused on, serving my community, and it's not about me. So, but I went onto a podcast, and obviously he wanted to know all about me. And I went thinking, again, made an assumption, I'll be an hour, because mine are an hour. So surely everyone's are an hour. He was like, how are you doing for time today? I was like, oh yeah, I'm okay. 2.5 hours.
Wow.
2.5 hours.
Did you need a wee?
No.
Wow.
He went quite deep.
Strong bladder.
Yeah. And it flew. The time just flew. But he purposefully does long content.
Yeah. Do you enjoy being a guest?
Yeah, I do. And it was weird. It was the first one I'd done, like talking about me, and I got quite a bit emotional. Yeah. I guess I hope that people can maybe take something away. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, I want to offer some inspiration. I've been someone that's really had a very squiggly career, has lost their way a little bit along the way, but has really now found my purpose. I mean, my dream job when I was growing up, I wanted to be a Blue Peter presenter. So I feel like I'm
I've got a badge up there somewhere. Yeah, no,
so
I used to love it.
I do feel like I'm kind of now living that. And I think, when you said earlier about the podcast, I did a lot of work behind the scenes with coaches and mentors, really discovering, because I really wanted to find my thing. And so really like unpicking what my strengths were, what really filled my bucket, what lights me up. And just like the podcast kind of all of those.
Kaylie, I was going to ask you, do you enjoy being a guest? I don't
mind. I've never been comfortable with it. You know that, don't you? Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah.
You're too harsh on yourself. You're a brilliant contributor. And you've given us years of entertainment. I was going to say, do any of you, and I think we've discussed this before, Kaylie, I certainly have and still do. I feel Alex brought up this word many years ago when we started, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm more used with it now. But at first, it was horrible. But you both with your podcast seem to have, like as I said before, literally hit the ground running with some quite high rankings. So
Mama's Flightpath went straight in at number 5 in the parent Apple charts.
Wow.
And I think it's because it's a conversation that's really uncomfortable. So I'm talking about returning to work as a mum and why is it so friggin' hard. And it's basically hard because the system's broken. The work environment, working world was not designed for mums. So we're operating in this crazy world and we're all just trying to figure it out, So it's an uncomfortable conversation which people experience, but there isn't really much support out there. Like businesses just expect you to go back and be as you were, business as usual, but you've changed and you've got different priorities. And I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable with that and don't know how to find it. And I was just so lucky that my manager is an extremely experienced coach and was able to really support me through that. And you talk there, Trevor, about imposter syndrome. And in like the coaching world, they actually would shudder at the word syndrome because actually it's not a syndrome. Like you don't have that problem. It's a mindset, and you can work through that. I think that's the beauty of the coaching. It gave me the confidence to do this.
Yeah. In your mind, what would you say was the worst industry for returning mums?
Oh, I actually know some stats around this. Finance is quite challenging, and legal. I think it's those industries that seem to be quite challenging. But there are things that businesses can do, like obviously offering the flexibility and putting the support in place. But where I'm coming at this is that actually those are going to take years. I mean, you've got people like Mother Pucker who's been fighting for 10 years to try and get the industries, the businesses to offer flexible working. And there's small movements happening, but it's so hard. And so I think it's down to you. It's down to you as the person going through it to take some control and decide how you're going to go forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Who have you got coming up? I mean, how many episodes have you at the moment?
I'm up to so Tuesday will be episode 14, and it's a pretty emotional one on the next one coming up. So she's British Airways crew. So I do, again, there's always a bit of a link back to flying. Yeah. I don't know if you both find this, but I just seem to always attract crew.
Yeah, Flightpath in straight away people that fly all needs is that.
Yeah, and the Flightpath bit came from because I think everyone's got their path, but you can fly. Like you've got an opportunity to friggin' fly. Everyone has got that. But also it's a lovely little nod to that.
Yeah, it's very catchy.
So I've got Jazz coming on Tuesday, and she's ex British Airways crew. She was on maternity leave when we went through COVID, so she didn't lose her job because of it, because she was they basically didn't touch her because she was on maternity leave, so she kind of got left aside with it all. But actually what happened was she was very anxious, I think, because of the COVID and having a baby and losing her identity from flying. She turned to alcohol and actually became an alcoholic, ended up in rehab.
Oh, wow.
And had another baby within 9 months. So she had 2. First one wasn't planned. Second one wasn't really planned.
Wow.
Just so much going on. And then obviously left the flying because she didn't want to go back. She'd made the decision actually going back with the kids wasn't going to work for her. So there was that. We know how that strong that identity is when you're crew. And then when you lose that and you become a mum and you've gone through COVID, and she just turned to the alcohol as a bit of a mask. And so she's come out the other end. She's gone through rehab. She's got the most beautiful mindset now, and she's working in a school. Does not light her up at all, but it means she's off with the kids and it brings money, and she's doing evening class as a counsellor.
Oh, wow.
That's
She's got to come, come full,
So she's gone full circle. So she wants to help other people that are going through the rehab.
Yeah. You mentioned the identity with crew. There's something that always sort of brings us back, but I think it's almost like being a member of the Masons, Masonic, is the fact that if you know somebody's crew, regardless of which airline, whether short haul, you've got this automatic connection with them. And I mean, it's and I feel that even though I'm pretty much ready to hang up my wings now. I am part-time now, so it suits me very well. In fact, it was literally 29 years yesterday that I'd been with my long haul airline. So I mean, I'm part-time now, so it works out about 3 flights a month. So it's just right. But if I meet any crew, say different airlines, there's automatically a connection there.
It's so true. I was in the pub a couple of weeks ago, and it was great parenting. After school, the mums went to the pub with the kids. And,
been there.
And the kids were like chatting to this couple who had this like ginormous dog. And I think crew have a bit of a look about them as well, don't they? Anyway, one of the mums were talking to her and she came back over and she's like, oh, she's crew. I was like, no way. And I went over, and obviously then we were just chatting like forever. Not even about flying, but you
it's safe to go and talk to that person because you know that they're going to be chatty and open.
You just have this it is a bit like a little club, isn't it?
It is. That's what I mean. Totally. It's so hard. It's so hard to explain it to I hate to use this word, but like civilians, even though we're a civilian profession, but I'm sure you both understand what I mean. But no, that's been brilliant. So I say, and are your podcasts published on a regular day? Are you like Kaylie? Right, this is going to go out every Tuesday, or do you have a deadline, or do you just press publish whenever you're ready to publish it? Jools, that is, sorry.
Oh, to me, yes, mine are every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. So it is like what Kaylie was saying. It's a ginormous commitment because I have a job. I work 3 days a week, coaching in the defence sector, and then well, that was one of the reasons really, because obviously Hugo started school in September. So I had a choice. Do I increase my hours at work, or do I try and do something that I really, really believe in? And that's what I'm doing. So the Monday and the Friday when Hugo's at school, I work on the podcast.
Yeah, I've got Kaylie. Your mic's on mute there. I don't know if you did that on purpose. You probably did.
on
There
purpose
you
because
go.
my dogs are barking.
Oh, we see.
So
Okay,
it's
I
just
see. I love the backstory. I should have sent you a private message on that. All right, like Jools, thank you very much. What we do, obviously, give your podcast a proper shout and your socials. Of course, we'll put the links in the description below. But listen, everyone loves a shout out. So where can they find you?
Oh, so I tend to mainly hang out on Instagram, but also on LinkedIn. So it's Mama's Flightpath, or if you look up Jools Tyrer, but on Instagram it's Mama's Flightpath. And the same with wherever you get your podcast. So it's on Apple or Spotify. Just pop in Mama's Flightpath. It should come up. If you're struggling, just go on the website. I've got a website and all the links are on there. And if you're crew and thinking of doing something different, if you've got that bit of tug in your gut and you're thinking, oh, I have got something in there else that I think I might want to do alongside maybe flying, I've got a return reset journal on my website, which is for free. Wow. And that goes through, or when I do my coaching, I go through these elements on a group coaching program to help people with returning to work.
Excellent. Right, Kaylie, you got any last words for Jools?
It sounds absolutely. I'm going to start listening every Tuesday and add it to my list. What a lovely idea. And I just think it's really nice, a bit like you, Trevor, that you've created these podcasts to help people. Like you've literally, your initial idea was, I want to share what I know to help other people. And yeah, it's just such an admirable thing to do. And you fully deserve to go straight in at number 5. Not because you're helping us mums, that there's a huge community of people who need to hear stories and get a bit of inspiration, isn't there?
I do. So you're more than welcome to come on Mama's Flightpath, Kaylie, because I think you've got a great story too. Just talk about writing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think both you and Ali should as well.
Ali's
already been on. Ali's story is one of the most listened to stories.
Yeah. I don't know why Trevor talked me into coming on today. I'm like, don't you just want Ali to do that? Because she's so much better with everything. I just like writing.
No,
you've been an imposter again. You've got your own story that we love to hear.
About podcasts. I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like you, Jools. I thought you just buy a microphone, record something, pop
That's
it on.
what I thought.
I know. I have no idea, but I know that there's a hell of a lot more to it than that. Thankfully, Ali in the recording department knows about that, and Ali in publicity knows about other stuff. And we got Ali in HR and everywhere.
The funniest thing was when I was told my husband about it. So I'd actually gone to Alex, and he was the first person that I opened up, and I was like, Alex, I've got this dream. I want to be in the Psychologist magazine. I want to do all this amazing work, and I want to help women going back to work. But I'm really scared about just helping women. Like, do I need to help women and men and everyone? And he was like, no, just keep it niche. Like, just focus on, the mum. Don't worry about being PC and stuff, And he was like, yeah, just focus on that niche. And he was the first person where I really dreamt, and I just found myself verbally saying I want to do this, and I want to help people, and I want to da 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 da. And he was like, oh, right, great, yeah. And I think that's all it takes, is just take
to get your thoughts out.
For someone not to laugh at you and go, who the hell do you think you are? Just to be brave. And I think because he's not a family member or a close friend, and he was just hearing that somebody didn't laugh that idea out kind of gave me that little one step closer to it. And then I came home and he was like, I was like, because I said to Alex, do you think I've got an idea? Do you think this has got legs? And he was like, yeah, 100%. I was like, right, okay. So I came home, told my husband, I was like, I've spoken to somebody and they've said it's a good idea.
Yeah, so it must be a good
idea. It just takes one person, right?
But he went, all right. So he got quite on board in the beginning, and then was like, so you're going to have to film it. And I was like, no, I'm doing a podcast, where people just listen. And he was like, yeah, all the rage is that people watch them now. And I was like, sorry, what? I had not signed up for that, but turns out he was right. So yes, that's the not so fun part. I had visions of just doing it in my pajamas, being able to do it, but turns out you actually need to look a bit presentable.
I know. Well, I was going to say we've all become sort of presenters as well. So going back to your Blue Peter dream there, you know, it's yeah. I mean, I never expected to be doing anything like this at all. So
It's nuts, isn't it?
yeah. No, it's crazy. All right, look, we better wrap this up now because we've gone on slightly longer than I expected. But then again, that's no surprise. So, Jools Tyrer, thank you so much for joining us again. Let's not leave it so long next time, and hopefully you're either come on as a contributor again and just keep us fully updated on how it's going. Well, I'd also like to thank. Hey, again, I say it's been brilliant to see you both. But other than that, we shall see everyone very soon here at Not Just Crew.